Hey everyone, glad you're here. I gotta try to be cordial, I guess, or entertaining, but we're not about all that. I'm opening up about the real challenges and some hard truths behind the stories I write. I'll be sharing how my books connect to everything we fight for in Black America: faith, love, and real economic change. This isn't just promotion, it's about the bigger mission and why these stories matter right now. It's about the bigger mission and why these stories matter right now. It's about the bigger mission and why these stories matter right now. I want you to, I want your honest takes in the chat. Let's get into it together. Okay, so the main book that I'm promoting, uh, it's actually two of them, but the one for Black America. My main thing is that besides economics, I think our main problem is we are disconnected from the creator. And it's mainly because we, for the most part, are just wicked. It's deep. It's deep to even, think about. It's like most of us don't really follow a religion. We claim a religion, but we don't follow it. We call ourselves Christian, but we don't follow Christ. We don't do what he did. We don't follow his instructions. We just say that we Christians and he died for our sins, even though he never said that. But that's why the main book that I have to present is this one right here, and I've been promoting it. I've been promoting it all over the place. Let me see if y'all can see it right there. It's called Study to Show Thyself Approved: Islam, the fastest growing religion on the planet. In this book, it breaks down, you know, the questions you have, and it gives you the answers, not just on a feeling, or a whim. It breaks down history and verses and scripture and mathematics and science and theology. It goes all the way around. And at the same time, I'm giving y'all the opportunity to get this book free. Actually, any of my books, you can get them free. That's all you have to do is just email me, email. Just send me an email requesting any one of my books, with the title, and we'll send it to you. Um, that's the least I can do. I'm asking for support to try to build this thing, and I know that it can take off. I know it's going to take off, whether it takes off while I'm still alive or not. I believe that it's going to take off because I believe it's the right thing for our people. This book right here will help you find your answers. You know, for all the questions that you have, it shows and proves why Islam is the fastest growing religion on the planet, and it talks about things in a way where you will have no doubt as to the true religion that we ought to be following. So this is the first book. The next book I have, I believe, is connected with it. I believe they go hand in hand. And this book is called Blueprint for Black America's Economic System. Subtitle says From Struggle to Structure, Reclaiming Our Economic Future. This book right here is a dead on ringer as far as our way to go, as far as creating our own economic system. And you won't understand it until you read the book. I vouch with this. If you have a better plan, put it up against this one, and this one will win hands down. We have a lot of people out there, that's doing things not like this. I'm the only one that's talking like this. They're doing things in a way that individually they're trying to, create little areas here and there to try to do things for blacks, for our people. But I'm trying to do things on a collective scale, as a whole, not individual systems, or I don't want to name no names, but some of them organizations just been using, abusing us. But this right here, wow, I really don't know how to put it. I really don't know how to put it, and I've been trying to promote this along with you know studies so that's like approved. It's all over my social media. That's the only thing I can say is follow me on my podcast. You can come on. You can ask questions. I need y'all to ask questions. I need y'all to engage because we need to talk about this. We need to talk about how we in this situation we're in and why we're not talking about trying to get out of the situation. How come we so comfortable in being oppressed? We're not trying to get out from under the knee, so to speak. That's on our neck, you know. We saw it happen live with George Floyd, but it's figuratively happening to us. And the guy, whatever his name is that did that to George Floyd, he's just a representative of them as a whole. As a whole people, that's them, and George Floyd is us in America. But we sit up and just let it happen. We let it happen. After it happened, we protest, like I said yesterday, last night, maybe an hour or two, and then we go ahead, back off into TikTok and social media until it happens again. And we might protest another hour, maybe less, a half an hour. And we just constantly do this. It's like even I'm Muslim, and I talk about the Muslims too worldwide. You know, we let things happen, and it's sad. It's sad that we let things happen. We let it happen. There ain't no, you know, power on the planet that's great enough to do things without the people letting it happen. The people let it happen because they're afraid to stand up. They're afraid to open their mouth or suggest anything or say anything. You know, that's all we do. But anyway, let's get back in the books. I want to just try to keep this going on, every night, 12 midnight. We can talk about this thing about, black economics, black spirituality, any topic that's going to help us get out of this condition that we're in. The other book I wrote, it's a small book, but has a big impact. It's called A Better Black Wall Street. In this book right here, it's a prelude to the blueprint for Black America's economic system. It's a prelude. It breaks down the structure. It talks about Black Wall Street, what they had, what they did, and it shows us that if they did it, we can do it and be more successful. Because back then, they had tools that caused them to be a threat that the government knew, and the government blew it up. But at the same time, now it's back in 1921. It's 2025 now, and we have technology to put things in place and in motion where the government, the only way they can destroy this is they have to just show outright that they just Satan. They showed outright then, but at the same time, things sort of had to change. They say they changed, but we know what's real. But that doesn't mean that we should stay hidden in the closet or hide in the basement or hide our hands. No, we have to connect with our creator because that's where our strength lies. It lies with the individually, but not like it does as a collective whole. If we can get, enough people, but it starts with a few. It starts with one, you know, one person talking real talk that's different from the masses, the masses with the imams and, the scholars that's there, they talking good talk for dawah and everything, but as a collective whole, to the whole of the people, what we should be doing, they not on point. They far off. Oh, man, it's so sad. And I hate to say it like that. I love my Muslim brothers. I love, um, it's like we have so many teachers out there that's inviting to Islam, you know. Um, I'm trying to think some names that you all can relate to, you know. Let me see. I don't want to start Googling none, but because I'm trying to get specific people. One of them, I guess I should have been more prepared this way, but let me do this because I have the tools with me. I'm gonna go to here and I'm gonna just say here and go to Muslim scholars. It's Black Islamic leaders. Okay, no, we ain't trying to go there. Not there either. I could. Oh, here's one of my favorite, Khalid Yassin. Right here, he's talking about the Nation of Islam in Farrakhan, which that was the first I saw up there, and I didn't want to go there because that's a big exclamation point as to whether or not they real Muslims. I don't want to talk about that. That's something else. But at the same time, it needs to be addressed. We can talk about that later on. A matter of fact, I invite any one of them to come on this podcast, and we can talk about, what's a true Muslim, as far as they aspect of it, and as far as the Quran and the Sunnah, you know, and then we can have a nice discussion on that, in a way of intelligent men, because that has a lot to it. I have some history with them. I love what they do, but at the same time, far as we won't get into that. That's a whole nother conundrum. I just used that word yesterday, but anyway. But Khalid Yassin, I love him. I love him so much. That brother's on point. He's been working with Lily J. Lily J is a female from Australia, I think, or somewhere over there. That she's doing wonderful things, and it's tremendous things, which I hope and I refer her to whoever I can because she's on point. Anyway, another one with Siraj Wahaj. He's great. And I love these brothers and sisters. I love them for what they're doing, but at the same time, I have to be honest and say that they're not on point. And what I mean by that is that no one's addressing the elephant in the room. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came to the whole of humanity, and the Quran is for everybody. It's not just for the Muslims, but we have Muslims that's teaching mainly Muslims, and they have audiences that have people that's interested, and they end up reverting Islam, and that's fine and dandy. That's fine and dandy. But at the same time, you know, everyone is being oppressed. Everyone is being taken for granted and used and tortured and unalived. From Palestine to Africa and all over. And the thing about it is, we need a collective. um, a collective action where all of us get together. And the best way to defeat, you know, oppression and this type of heinous acts going on is not just with religion. That's the main thing. But it has your economic system collectively that's going to benefit everybody, not just the Muslims. And that's what we talk about. That's what we try to promote in the Black economic system uh, for Black America. Because if we did it like we're supposed to do it, like it should be done, then we wouldn't be relying on the system, the system to do this and do that. So when the system wants to oppress and everything like that, we can't do nothing but take it. And in order for us to get out from under it, we got to create our own economic system. So I like what some Muslim organizations are doing, and they have their own the system for their own organization. But that's not for the whole. That's just for them. And it's still people out there that's not Muslim that need help. That if we was to establish something for the whole, then it would be like a tool to use to invite. They probably would listen more or embrace us even more. And that's what I got in the blueprint for Black America's economic system, along with studies so that's approved with that book just showing that Islam is the only way. Islam is the only thing that we have that can defeat racism. Anyway, other books I wrote this book right here. It's a book on over 200 spoken word poems. That's phenomenal. And it's not just about the books. The books, I say we can create our own economic system, but I say I'm trying to do it myself, and my way of trying to do it one book sale at a time. For every book that I sell, or any of my products, 10% goes toward the economic system that I'm trying to produce. And I've been trying to do this on my own for the longest. And I have people that jump on board and want to hear about it, and they hear about it, and then they see that they can't, that they're not going to benefit right away, or they see no that they can't benefit now, and then they just leave. I don't know if they're taking some of my ideas and running off with them, but they'll join on and say they with it and all that, and then they all of a sudden they say, "Well, hey, bro, why don't you come along and join us?" Or if they're taking what they're taking, may Allah reward them. Allah is most just. He's the one that's going to make this happen or not. This is another book. It's called Truth is in the Art, but it's the first version. It's the first edition of the book I just showed. This book right here is Okay, Can You See? Secrets. It's the first book I ever wrote, the first one. And it was written years ago, but you see from the cover, that it's not a simple book, you know. And then we have this book is the second edition of that book, which is just as powerful, I guess that's the word, or explosive as far as the artwork. Okay. Now I wanted to show all those books because the other books are romance novels, and the first one I ever wrote, and all these books are written, they have Islamic, what word I'm looking for, um, theme, so to speak. They're based off of comparative religion. I would say that would be a good word. But the first book I ever wrote is called Unlikely Entanglements, and it's a love story about a Muslim Christian romance. Um, and it starts off. The man is the Muslim, the female is a Christian. They end up getting married at the end, but you have to read the book. It's brilliant, and I'm hoping that you all support. Anyway, the other book we wrote a sequel to that, and it's also called Unlikely Entanglements, but it's Unlikely Entanglements 2. It's about a Muslim Christian romance, but in this one is flipped. The female is the Muslim, the man is a Christian. That's a lot more complicated, but they end up getting married. The man, he reverts to Islam. That's the only way they could get married. But at the same time, it's a story that teaches, certain things about, how he become Muslim, his studies and things that he found out that end up, causing him to become Muslim. Not so much for her. He found out, he did his studies, and he ended up putting himself in a position where he could marry her because he ended up believing in Islam, and that's the only way that that could happen. Anyway, the other book we wrote is called Brushstrokes of Desire. Brushstrokes painting. The artwork on the cover explains that. But this is two Muslims, and they are in a little situation where they do some things before they get married, and it's a love story, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then we have a book that we wrote called Mecca's Quest. Sort of the same, but you can see by the cover that some things happened and the baby popped up. But another book I wrote. I'm waiting on that book to come through. It should be here in about another week. Books are selling. So that book is called Chicago Skies and Crescent Moon, and it's a love story. It's two Muslims, but it's about two Muslims. A situation where it's racism involved, where racism is in Islam. It's deep in Islam, and it covers those things that are. Long story short, it's about a Chicago Muslim ex-gang member that ended up becoming Muslim, or he was born Muslim. He was born Muslim, and then he going home from work, and he runs across this Pakistani Muslima, who's they trying to grab her and kidnap her for human trafficking. But he rescues her, and they end up he got to hide out, and they the people looking for him. It's a good story, good drama, everything like that. But that's a little bit about what I do to try to raise money in order to create an economic system for Black America. And if you go to my website, theartproject.llc, you'll see that you'll see what I'm really doing, what I'm really trying to do in order to put all this together and make everything work. you know. And I'm gonna be doing these little lives every night at midnight, so that you all will see that I'm serious about trying to create an economic system for Black America. I'm hoping that you all will support and at least go to the website and you just read about how I'm doing it, what I'm trying to do. We'll get into it more and more as these podcasts, develop, and I'm hoping that you all will jump on board and support, you know. But anyway, what I do for the time being, because it's not a big audience, I go ahead and I do these live podcasts, and they record it, and then I chop them up and make them into shorts, and the these right here, they get uploaded automatically as soon as I get off, so y'all see the live version and everything like that. And y'all can see the progress as time goes on, and hopefully I'll get better at this, and it'll become more entertaining, and you all will support and come on as guests, and we create a little audience. It's little things that I can do, like make the clapping and everything like that. It's kind of corny, but it's cool too. We're gonna get into all of that. I'm inviting suggestions. I'm inviting conversations. But at the same time, I forgot to pin the little thing that I normally pin every night. Well, this just the second night, but what I wanted to pin every night. So we're gonna try to make this thing happen, and I'm gonna try to be more prepared every night. But the main topic is gonna be concerning America, Black America, what we're going through, what America's doing. Because a lot of us in a position where we sit back and we just know and see and we're witnesses to what she's doing, and we don't say nothing. We just sit back and just don't say nothing. So my question that I'm gonna be pinning up for every episode, is I had it pinned up last night. I didn't pin it up tonight because I was sort of doing things before I started the live that I wanted to, you know, um, get situated. I wanted to upload a video that was inviting to the live and letting everybody know that the live is gonna be every night at midnight. But what I'm going to be pinning, and I didn't pin it tonight, but it's going to be something the coined phrase that I came up with, or it's not really a phrase, it's a question. It says, "Am I wasting my time on Black America because it seems like she's giving up? Seems like y'all giving up Black America, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, man." And I say certain things to try to bring y'all back. We had a lot of leaders that unalive, and we end up, just dropping the torch. We dropped the flag. We abandoned our post. We abandoned our post, and we sold out for some damn food stamps. Yeah, I said it. You know, you gotta check out my video on YouTube. It's entitled "Black America Sold Out for Food Stamps," and it's the reason behind that. You think about it, you will agree that we sold out. Look what we got. We was fighting for equal rights. Equal rights mean equal. We were fighting for justice. Justice means justice. We were fighting for, surviving. We were fighting to defeat oppression. But at the same time, Malcolm X, he got a beautiful speech. One of his speeches that's hardly even floating around there, where he talks about, we go and fight for the country, what I'm saying, Vietnam and Korea and World War I and II and everything like that. We go and fight for them and die for, we get unalive for this country. They might get a little money or whatever. But then, we come here and we won't fight for our own freedom, you know. I don't know, but we sold out with food stamps because, in order to, fight for equal rights, things gotta pan out and be evened out and be equal. But when you don't get none but food stamps and welfare and Section 8 housing, then it's like, I know things are worse, they're worse off, but at the same time, are they? Because it's not so much as they got the bodies, they got the minds now. The mind's all twisted. The black minds now is working against itself. Those of us that haven't assimilated into them, where I says black people or Caucasians in black skin, that's what I say is, we got a lot of those. If it's not that, it's just us outright, just gangs against gangs. You know, how does that work? And I was raised in Chicago, but I never joined a gang. I never even wanted to because I was sort of strong-minded and like I couldn't be going around having somebody tell me what to do. Like especially I'm with this guy and we in the same gang, and then he go out because he's stupid and wild and young and crazy, and he go and start some stuff with some other people, and then he end up getting beat up or something because he started it, and then he come back and they tell me to go and handle that for him, and then I end up being unalive for nah. I'm not. I submit my will to do Allah's will. I'm a slave of God. I'm a slave of Allah. You know what I'm saying? And I die for Islam. I die for submitting my will. I'll be on the line for submitting my will to do God's will. That's how it's supposed to work. And that's why we just all messed up. But we're going to be talking about, the truth about, the covenant, the truth about the prophets. We're going to be talking about real talk. We're not talking about certain things that they're not talking about on TikTok and YouTube. If y'all want to go there and be there and stay there, then fine. I'm gonna upload my material there. But if you go back to 2009 when I first joined Facebook, I probably was on that before then. I was talking about what I'm talking about now all this time. But it don't get to you because of the algorithms, and then it's what you search for. You searching for panties and and dancing, being entertained, and buffoonery. That's what you're searching for. So you're gonna get that, and then the hellfire is hot. Anyway, that's all I need to. That's all I want to say tonight. I'm past the 30 minutes. I'm gonna be trying to do about 30 minutes every night, uh, give or take. It depends on how much response I get. But I love you all of y'all for the sake of Allah. Assalamu alaikum, my Muslim brothers and sisters. I'm hoping y'all help me out, join. Let's build this thing and real talk. Peace.